Welcome to the court. Oh my gosh. Welcome to the podcast, Judge. Let me try it
Well,
again, okay? Let me see
does
if
it
I
matter?
can.
It's the 480th.
It's did I say 480th?
No, you said 425th.
Oh, it's 480th.
Yeah.
See, that's a
If
problem.
it matters, I don't know if it matters to whatever
Yeah.
you're doing.
No, it
Doesn't
matters.
matter to me.
All right, let's try it again. Welcome to the Texas Lawyer Podcast, where we share stories from those who choose to practice law in the great state of Texas. I'm your host, Cheryl McGirr, and today we're sitting down with an attorney who currently sits as the presiding judge of the 480th Judicial District Court of Texas. Today, we're talking with Judge Terence Davis. Welcome to the podcast, Judge.
Hey, thanks for having me. How can I help you today?
Well, we just want to get to know a little bit more about you and what brought you to the practice of law and to your current position. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your life before you started your practice of law, and before you even go back to what led you to decide to become a lawyer?
The most likely culprit for getting me involved with the law is just my dad. My dad's an attorney, he's still practicing. He's done a variety of different areas of law, and it kind of piqued my interest, and I wanted to, follow his footsteps at first. Then I tried accounting, hated that, and then I went back to the law, and that's kind of what led me there, is just seeing it for firsthand. There were some aspects of it that I didn't really, particularly like, that he was reading all night. He was always reading cases, walking around reading cases, but I liked the results. He always seemed prepared and invested in his clients and things like that. So I was kind of drawn in by just the fact that he was able to help people in difficult situations. And I felt like that was something I wanted to try and do. And that kind of got the rock in my shoe, if you will.
How old were you when you decided, yeah, I'm going to do this? I want to go to law school. Was it before you even got to college, or was it a decision you made in college, shortly thereafter?
I think I decided initially that I wanted to do it before college. And then right when I started at UT, I started kind of with general and accounting kind of angle. And I was going to do something on my own because everybody would always ask me, are you just you going to do the law because your dad did it? And it kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Like, I'm not just a rubber stamp. Like, what do you mean? So I was going to try something else. And so I would say I bounced a little bit back and forth. So I'd say a year or two, I was trying the accounting realm and in college. So I decided, then I undecided, and then I redecided after not liking accounting after about a year and a half or two at UT.
And what was the atmosphere like when you made that decision to go to law school? Were you already familiar with the requirements that it takes to get into law school and to get accepted and things like that? Or was that something because I would imagine your dad was already well into his career by the time you paid attention.
Yeah, he was well into it. I mean, as you know, when you've got, a decade or more between when somebody last did something and when you're doing it, it's he's out of touch with probably what's required. But I was doing accounting, and then I wanted to figure out what I wanted to do, and so I told him I was interested, and he suggested that I find a major that I was interested in and try and do well in that. Because he said it's not really going to matter a whole lot what you decide to do with your undergrad. Although I'm sure some people would, appellate lawyers would probably disagree with me and say you should do English or something. But I did criminal justice at Southwest Texas. Now it's Texas State. So I did that. And then I decided to, keep going with this whole law thing. And so that was basically my undergrad. So basically just something I was really passionate about, interested in. I love criminal law, I love the hunt, the detective work, all that kind of stuff that's involved in law enforcement. So it kind of intrigued me some.
Did you go straight from undergrad to law school? I mean, were you in the process of applying and then boom, you went straight in, or did you take a little time off?
I was gonna go straight in, but I had my first child, so I took a year off, and then I started the year after that. So 97. My daughter was born in November of 96. My oldest. And so when she was born, I was kind of a little bit freaked out by that. I didn't know how, having a brand new baby. And then what I heard was basically first year law students are going to be gone all the time. And I was kind of worried about that for my wife and our relationship. I didn't want it to ruin anything. So I wanted to be, take it serious. And so it was and I was going to we lived in Austin. I was have to go to San Antonio. So it's just going to be a big deal. So I was kind of a little bit freaked out by that. So I paused a little bit and started in 97 at St. Mary's in San Antonio.
When you started at St. Mary's, one, did the law school experience meet your expectations? And what was that experience like for you?
I loved it. I really loved law school. It was way better than college. The material was interesting. Got to do a lot of cool things. I met a friend and we did the Moot court, their first year Moot court, and we were the winners of that. So it was really cool to be able to do that kind of argument stuff with her. And so that was my first year. Did well in class and everything and all my schoolwork. And then my third year, I got to do family law clinic there at St. Mary's. So that was cool, getting able to help people in the community and actually go to the courtroom and learn a couple things from actual practice. So it was neat.
What would you say was the biggest why as to you choosing a law career? Was it something simple or was it something deeper?
I would say it was something, I would call it simple. I mean, I liked what my dad was doing and I just had to own it and say it's okay if I like it too. And I'm still an individual, still my own person. And I, wanted to follow that down the road and keep shooting for that. So I would say it's simple. I just, you see somebody doing something, you get firsthand. I think that's the best experience to anything, any job. If you can follow someone around, intern with them. I mean, I basically got to intern with him every day and go on to court with him, watch him in depositions, do everything and prepare arguments. And he would tell me about what he was researching and I would ask questions. And so it's just intellectually stimulating to keep learning. And so that was the part I liked the most.
I think a lot of people, when they make that choice and they step into it, they experience a lot of uncertainty. Did I do the right thing? But then some people, it's more of a confirmation as they step into it. What was your experience like?
I felt like it was a confirmation that I was doing the right thing because I didn't really like college that much. I liked the criminal justice classes, but I didn't like many of the other classes. So this one, I thrived. I liked it. People that know me know I'm a law nerd and I love to be in the courtroom. I like to be learning new things. And so it was a relief that it was something I actually liked. So I was worried that in order to do something that I wanted to do, I was going to have to go through a painful process. And it was hard, and a lot of work. I'm not trying to minimize it. I'm just saying I enjoyed it. So it didn't feel like a chore. It felt like an opportunity.
What are some of the challenges you faced as a lawyer in the early 2000s?
Having a young family, I worked a couple years at Fulbright and Jaworski, so I had a lot of time away from the family. I was learning a lot, but I was traveling a lot. I was going up to, I had a big tire case it's a defense firm, and so we had a tire litigation. So I was flying week on, week off to Cleveland in a warehouse looking at tire documents for probably a few months. That was towards the end of my tenure there, but I had a lot of other good experiences working at a big firm, but that was the first couple years. Then I, in 2002, went to work with my dad and moved here and bought my first house, moved my kids here. My wife never even saw the house. I picked it and she was like, I'm glad it worked out that way, but she was happy with it. But it was challenging to go from a solid guaranteed paycheck at a big firm to working with my dad, who was a solo practitioner, not used to sharing the clients and the income. that was coming in with some, it's like having a new chick in the nest. You gotta feed the bird, and so I was so new. I didn't know anybody, and I didn't know really what I was doing because, at the big firm, you do a lot more research. I did a lot of depositions in the big firm, but practicality wise, it didn't transfer that well to Leander, going from San Antonio defense firm to working in Leander with with my dad. But I learned a lot, got to do a lot of variety of different things, and then kind of shifted my practice and started out with whatever he was doing. And then he started suggesting that I kind of figure out a new funnel of business. So I started doing personal injury work. So I got to do that for a few years, worked with him till about 2007. Then I worked with my cousin, who's an attorney. He moved here. So we worked together for a couple years. And then he moved away to Washington, D.C., and then I pretty much was doing my own firm until 2024.
So it sounds like you've practiced in quite a few areas. While you were practicing, did you have a favorite area that you landed on?
Yeah, for different reasons. I like the personal injury side of it just because it was just interesting to try and develop a case from the beginning to the end and kind of see all the steps you have to go through along the way. But it's challenging when if that's your only income and you're new at it because you don't have a lot of cash flow. You got lots of peaks and lots of valleys. Mm-hmm. So that part can be challenging. Then I shifted into family law. I like the family law more for a variety of reasons. First, I got to do a lot more depositions. I like doing that. There's a lot of cash flow because there's constant business charging by the hour. You're in court a lot. So I like that part for those reasons. I would say family law, if I had to pick out of those. I mean, civil litigation, I had some experience, but not on my own firm, I didn't have a lot of civil, just the personal injury. I mean, I know that's civil, but I didn't have like complex contract litigation, that sort of things on my own. Did that when I was at the firm. It was more product liability and some employment law and some things like that.
I started off not doing family law either. I started off doing a load of quite a few different types of civil litigation. I mean, I had employment, I had a personal injury case, I had contracts case, I had a DTPA case, and I was a young lawyer taking in what came in the door, trying to keep my head above water, as you do as a young attorney with a new firm. I have found that practice, the variety of practice, and just the rules of civil procedure and the rules of evidence are the rules of evidence and the rules of civil procedure, whether you're in a civil case, a probate case, or a family case. And so I found that my civil litigation experience really enhanced my family law representation. Did you find a similar experience, or was it something different?
I mean, I think anybody that sharpens their trade is going to do well. And I think having a variety forces you to realize there's more than these four things that get applied on any particular case. And you can kind of see a wider view of the law when you do it that way. Although, I mean, in all practicality, I think that the family law doesn't follow a lot of the rules as you would expect. Sometimes there's so much gray and weird standards in family law that make it a little less stringent. But I definitely enjoy all those rules and things because I think rules give everybody predictability and they help reduce arbitrary decisions and arbitrary things, and they're there for a reason. So, but I also think that people that know the rules should benefit from knowing them and making the courts and the litigants comply with them. I mean, that's why we have them, and it's not utilized as much as you would think.
Now you're sitting as a district judge in Williamson County. How did you come to that decision, and what does your daily life look like today?
As far as that decision, I tried to become a judge years ago, probably 10 years ago. I ran a couple of times, and then I even put my name in the hat for a county court at law position. That was a county commissioner interview, and it was basically just two of us that applied for it or that were interviewed, as far as I know. I didn't get that, and basically after those couple of attempts, I kind of just had a one-on-one with my wife and prayer and decided maybe that's not in the cards and to be content and move on and keep doing what I was doing and recenter myself and not, be so focused on the future and be more focused on the present. So as soon as I did that, this opportunity fell in my lap, so to speak, and someone told me to interview for it with the governor's office. And so I did so. And I was just blessed to be able to get it. I mean, honestly, I didn't expect to get it, but I was happy to have the opportunity. And now that I'm in the position, I love it. I love the job for whenever we're busy. I like to be busy. I like to be constantly in court. We're learning in any way I can on a day-to-day. I'm blessed to get to work with great, fun people that make me want to go to work, colleagues that I get to work with, and they allow me to learn and sponge off of them on things that they know. I get to interact with the lawyers on a regular basis, so that's good. It's not the same as, being out and not being a judge and just having that collegial type conversations on the regular, but I do my best to keep myself involved with the lawyers because I don't want to be isolated. I really enjoy it, and I'm having a great time and looking forward to however much time I get to do it.
So you've been on the bench now have you been there 18, 20 months, maybe?
It'll be 2 years in September, so a month and a half, It'll be 2 years.
Yeah, boy, time flies, doesn't it? So
Yeah.
have you developed I don't want to say have you developed, do you have any pet peeves that have arisen that you're like, please don't do that?
Yeah, I think most people know most of my pet peeves by now. I thought that I'm a pretty level-headed person in the sense that I don't get too high or too low, but I mistakenly thought that meant I was patient, and I'm not a patient person. So there's a difference, and I'm working on that. I would say pet peeves are people talking over each other in court. That makes it hard for me to understand what's going on. Makes it hard for my court reporter. It kind of makes the court process a little less structured, and it forces everybody to kind of slow down and ask the questions they really need to ask. So I would say that's probably the number one, like, little pet peeve. The second one would be people don't read any of the things that we have written to try and help people so that the court process can be as smooth as possible. I try and do anything I can to share what I would like to make the efficient, process of the court. But a lot of people either ignore that, don't look at it, don't care. So I would say that is kind of a pet peeve. And I've really been shocked at just the quality or lack thereof of counsel in court. I really have been kind of shocked by that. I guess I knew it existed before, but it's when you have it's different when you have to listen to it and you're not, because usually if there's incompetence on the other side before, that was good for me. I win, right? And so now it's like you have incompetence. You're like, what are you doing? So I'm struggling personally with how to adapt and get in the right lane. Everybody has a lane, and judges have a lane. And I'm still working on that. I feel like I'm getting better every couple months. I'm getting a little bit better. I stopped asking as many questions as I did when I started. I'm asking less questions and just letting the lawyers fall on what they ask or don't ask. And if I have to ask something, I will, but I try and stay in my lane, if you will, and just make called balls and strikes. And that part I enjoy. I wish that I could have more of I did moot court and mock trials and all that stuff when I was, through school. And I loved whenever I got to judge a mock trial and you got to have conversations with the students or whoever it was, and you basically got to give some constructive stuff that was helpful, not overly pessimistic or anything. You'd have encouraging stuff to say, sandwiched with some constructive things that they can use to improve on. And I don't really have that ability in this position I'm in. I just really just got to sit there and take it, basically. And then and then people leave and then come back and they give it to me again. So I look forward to the days when I have good lawyers, but the problem with that is most of the good lawyers settle their cases most of the time. And that's just the nature of the beast. So every once in a while, you just get a couple good lawyers, a couple, a case that could go either way, and they just need to try their case, or it's a jury trial. I love jury trials. So it's a great job. I really have enjoyed it. Feel blessed to be able to have the opportunity to have said I've done it, and it's given me a definite appreciation for the people that have done it before, and it is definitely a patience builder.
I like that you said that it's building your patience. I think that's something. I know you're a fellow believer, and I know that in our walk with the Lord, it seems like patience is always something that, for me personally, I keep having to come back to, because I'll start thinking, yeah, I'm pretty patient. I can handle this. And sure enough,
Yeah.
something will come up and it'll really show me, and I've got to work on that. So I think that's something that a lot of people can relate to, that building patience in new situations, whether it's as a judge or in a new job, or your next phase of life, or just living life one day at a time. Patience is such a difficult thing to develop, but yet so important in our growth emotionally and to mature. So I asked you about your pet peeves. Have there been any surprising things that you're like, oh, that's a little cherry on top. That was great. I like that, and I didn't expect it.
I would say the two things that would be the cherry on top would be the people I get to work with. It's been a great blessing to be able to have people that you get to go to work with, laugh with, have such a good time with, and really want to see. And when they're not there, it's kind of like, oh. And then I would say the other one is just that I can go sit and listen to other cases and learn still. So there's sort of the entrepreneurial side still of this. I can kind of still learn other things, try new things in the court, just like I could in my business. In a way, I can try some things, but not way off, not way out there, but I get to try new things in the court that maybe others haven't done yet or aren't doing. And it's kind of cool to try different things, see if they work. And if people are like, hey, I like that. Or if they don't, I can pivot and change to something else. I'm not stuck in my ways for the most part. I like to change things. Sometimes my staff would say too much. So I purposely haven't changed anything on our policies and procedures or anything for like the last 6 months, and said I wouldn't until at least not till the new year. So I've got another 5 months to go. So.
Well, sometimes it takes a little while to settle into something new, a new habit, and to see if it really works. Sometimes just the mere change itself, I have found can set us off course. Recently, we moved my father-in-law into an independent living home, and they have, of course, month to month, because we're dealing with elderly people whose health changes, their care needs change, and so generally they have a month to month, except for the first 3 months. And they said, we found that we need 90 days to get people settled and used to a new situation before they can know if they really like it or dislike it. Because sometimes it's just the change, and
Yeah.
so I think it's interesting to settle into things. And it made me think about things in my life. We're talking about a specific situation, but I took that and I started thinking about different areas of my life where maybe I need to settle and live with this for a little bit and see how I feel, in 60 days. And I
Yeah.
found that that's helpful. It's helpful to sit with things for a little bit. There's not many occasions where there's not time to sit. I think we get wrapped up in the tyranny of the urgent. Everything is urgently and must be, done immediately. And of course we have deadlines and things like that. We have timelines that we have to keep as attorneys, but there's a lot of areas where we can slow down and be more thoughtful, and not have to just react.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
I'd like to know, what type of advice would you give first to someone who maybe is in college or just out of college, and they're thinking, I might want to go to law school? What kind of advice would you give them on next steps?
I don't know if the right word would be intern, but definitely follow someone, go check out what a day in the life is of someone that does that kind of job. So if they wanted to do something in the transactional law, let's say, then they should go, let's say 4 or 5 different days, a full days, at that person's job, doing what they do, seeing the phone calls they make, how long they work, whether they like what they are doing, reviewing a 100-page contract, and they're like, maybe they love that. I don't know. Maybe they don't. And same thing for litigation, be able to do that, because people think when you're a litigator, you're in court all the time. Well, that's not true either. So there's a lot of the discovery and the back end stuff that has to happen, and meeting clients and getting new clients and dealing with all the different aspects of the law. And so I would say getting that practical experience is important, because the law school is not cheap, and you don't want to go through 3 years and then find out you don't like it.
Right.
So I think that would be one thing that would be important. As far as law school itself, I loved it, but everyone's different. And I think you can tell by the end of the first year if it's something that you like or don't. I think that if you can get through the first year and you still are really interested in it, then you're probably on the right track. And if not, then get out early. But if you're loving it, then I think you should. It gets the second and third year to me, were really, really fun, because you got through that first, scared to death kind of thing, and got to find out if you're going to be a clerk somewhere or whatever during the summer after your first year. And so those are some cool things that you could do.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the law school experience myself. I enjoyed all the things that we learned. I can remember sitting in class going, how does everyone in the world who owns a business not have to have a law degree? Because there's so many things that I learned. I had been somewhat in the world of entrepreneurs prior to law school. And so it was just fascinating to me that we learned something every day that I thought was applicable in so many different areas. So what are you looking forward to in the near future for Judge Davis?
Oh my gosh. There's so many new changes that are happening at the courthouse and in the court world that I'm excited for whatever it brings. So I'm very open to it, and it may be some new opportunities for me. It may be just new people to work with. It may be both. So I'm looking forward to all of it. And I don't want to set myself up for this expectation or another. Really just being present, enjoying the journey. And that's most of the fun, is not worrying about too much of the future. I'm really just excited for the options. And even if nothing changes, I'm having a blast. So it's really not really major downsides for me for at least the next 2 years. I have an election in 2 years, so that we'll see then. But for now, I'm really enjoying it. So thanks for asking.
Great. Well, I want to thank my guests for being here. And with that, the Texas Lawyer Podcast has adjourned for today. What's your biggest takeaway? Let us know in the comments below. And be sure to leave a review, like, subscribe, and share us with your friends. Thanks for joining us today. And thank you for joining us, Judge Davis.